Hey, everybody, this is Perch. Well, it's the day after the election, and I kind of breaking expectations. We knew the winner at about midnight, 1 p.m. Central Time. It was pretty clear. Like the paths to victory narrowed so much that it was going to take kind of crazy shenanigans in order for it to go the other way. And I know, crazy shenanigans happen in politics from time to time, but the road had narrowed out that it was impossible at that point to change. And this isn't a video about the day after, but I do want to compare a little bit some of the lessons from this election to comics because I think there's some really interesting parallels or really obvious parallels. Maybe is a better way to put it. Um, you know, I think one of the things, and there'll be lots of speculation, lots of people giving lots of different levels of cope and different levels of here's what happened and here's what it is. I said in this channel I believed Kamala Harris was going to win, and I think in many logical ways, I think it was set up to win. I think that in a lot of cases, Kamala Harris, this election to me felt like both candidates were running against themselves. I think Trump did a number of things that in many races would have cost him. He would have lost, and Kamala did the same. I mean, she made her own unforced errors. If you think about it, there really wasn't a heavy body blow from one to the other. If you think about the debate, even people who said that Kamala did really well in the debate, and CNN was going on and on about, and Fox actually were both going on about how Kamala won the debate handily, but you didn't see a poll bump. It didn't factor. What you did see was weird stage photo ops, inviting roast comedians to your rally. Like that's this. Like it was people that like they caused their own problems. It was an election of unforced errors. And so if you've been listening to the channel for any length of time, you know how I relate that to comics. Comics is also an industry in many cases of unforced errors. Um, it's a place where even when they have a victory of a creative team or a title that's doing well, they'll move the artist off. They will intentionally steer away from pretty obvious success, and it's one of the hallmarks of comics. The other thing that I see is a huge parallel, or another thing that I see as a huge parallel, is comics at times feels convinced that it has the power to anoint what's going to be popular and what's going to work. You've seen this over and over and over. You saw Marvel is probably the biggest example of this because they run entire campaigns around Marvel New, Marvel Now. These are the most popular comics. And it was so blatant. Not that I want to keep picking at that scab because there's a million examples of this, but when they kind of declared Captain Marvel is the most popular Marvel superhero, that's what the solicitations read. That's how Marvel showed up to conventions. That's what they put on the comic. So they put in the comic for the character saying, we know you're the most popular character. And if you look at a lot of what, frankly, both companies have done with the big two, but more Marvel, there's a heavy amount of the writer telling you what you're supposed to like and not like in the comic versus, you just liking it or not liking it or the writer picking up on what's popular. It's instead the writer and the company telling you what's popular. The Captain Marvel is the most popular superhero. It didn't take because the reality is any generation or the vast majority of generations, I should say, they don't like to be told what to enjoy and what to like. And if you look at this election, there was a little bit of the, hey, Biden's stepping aside, Kamala's stepping in, and, she is best. You will like her. She is our candidate. She is full of joy. She is all like there was a lot of you will like this person versus if you kind of take a big step back and you think about the 2020 election, Kamala ran against Joe Biden. She was, she was in the primary and she didn't do well. That there Tulsi Gabbard, I don't say annihilated her, but took a big chunk out of her during the primary, and she didn't even make it. She didn't make it further than Bernie. Put it that way. And so this time around, 2024, it's like, okay, we picked Kamala. Why wouldn't you at least try and trot out a procedural, like some kind of vote or survey or something to make it look like you were actually getting the opinion of the people who are going to have to vote for this person? Instead, they went with you will like this person. And again, this is comics. You will get organically popular characters, and then you will get Marvel going, here's the character you're gonna love. It's a little bit like if you think about Spider-Man and the insistence of, no, we're not putting Spider-Man with MJ, or yeah, we're calling Laura Kinney Wolverine. I still maintain the same thing actually with Miles Morales and Spider-Man. Both Laura Kinney and Miles Morales are reasonably popular characters. I think a lot of comic fans are, more or less interested in reading those comics, more or less like those characters. And my evidence is Miles Morales, movie did well, comic sales do decent. People are more or less invested in that story. If you hop over to, into Laura Kinney, if you look at her appearances before they did any of this cheesy actual Wolverine stuff, a lot of people were into it. They, more or less, they were down. And so it begs the question of like, why are we why try and push that? Like, what is the point of trying to make that work? Um, you don't need to make it work. You don't need to insist on, no, Miles is Spider-Man. Like, what is the point of that tweet or that post or that statement in the comics? Or worse, having Peter Parker say that in the comics. Those are the kind of statements that are unforced errors. It's taking something that reasonably might have been popular and it's going the opposite direction. This gets me to the kind of the third and last parallel that I'll throw out here, which is, and some of you will disagree with this for sure, and you really wish you could go back in time and play things out differently. So imagine a timeline where Joe Biden didn't show up badly to the debate he had with Trump, but actually had not a stellar performance, just a okay performance, and he wasn't forced out. Would Joe Biden have won? Well, probably not. I think the economy was against him. His record was against him. There's a lot of issues there. It would be interesting. I mean, again, Joe Biden just kind of clunking along, dealing with his record, and then all the unforced errors that actually did happen on the Trump side. I mean, Biden has plenty of gaps. So I'm not going to say, Biden would have won had it been an actual race. He was trending down. I mean, he was polling down. All those things are true. But if with, yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say what actually would have occurred. And the push to Kamala is very interesting. And I think people will analyze and assess it. In our first 30 days or so, there was this honeymoon bump that happens in a lot of cases after the primary. And she was going very hard, if you remember this, on the I am filled with joy. This is a campaign of joy. This is going to be, a friendly campaign, a campaign of hope and optimism. And then about 30, 45 days later, after it was announced, I think the polling number wasn't really moving. Things were kind of stuck. And then somebody gave her the bright idea to go aggressively hard against what in effect was half the country. And she did. And that's when she started trotting out the you're a fascist. Her surrogates were calling people Nazis. It was like, this man is a threat to all democracy as we know it. It turned dark. And if you look at comics, you'll look at, people like Mark Waid, who puts in good work with World's Finest, and he's getting a lot of kind of good traction. He's now going on to Justice League, and I think you get kind of goodwill toward Mark Waid because he's putting out comics that more or less people are enjoying. And then he'll post something like, man, it's a shame they didn't actually murder Trump during that assassination attempt. And it's like going dark, particularly going dark against your audience. In politics, the people are going to vote for you. In comics, the people are going to buy your product. Going dark against that group, even if you think you're playing to half of it. So think about comics. You do have people on Twitter who are like, yeah, we really want people to, insult Comicsgate or talk about toxic fans. I mean, you have those people who eat that stuff up and egg creators on to say more about it. And creators, I think, get egged on and go, yeah, I'll go, let me go hard against what is in effect half or more of the buying audience. And it doesn't work. And so I think the lesson for politics, for comics, for business, for anywhere else is you can, you don't have to have the same opinion as, your customer base. In my case, I've got this channel here. I'm well aware, and I don't mind that my opinion conflicts with, I don't know, a good portion of you on a decent amount of time. I enjoy that because I don't want just, a robotic channel where I say things and you all lap it up and agree like that. There are channels like that. Those channels are gross, but I enjoy having the disagreement, but you're not going to get me on here telling you that, everyone who disagrees with me is some kind of Hitler. And I think, that my channel isn't trying to actually accomplish anything with sales. But if you are trying to get people to vote for you or trying to get people to buy things from you, you can disagree. You can tell them you disagree. You can tell them I really, I don't have I totally think your facts are wrong. I don't agree with you. You could be relatively direct, but you don't need that extra spice of I disagree with you, and you're Hitler. And again, this as an example of something a lot of you disagree with me on. I don't think the creators are doing this out of some kind of deep-seated malicious hatred. I think they're doing it because they think it's funny. I think they do it because they think it plays well with a phantom audience that doesn't actually exist. I think there's a lot of reasons they do it, but it more than anything, it's just stupidity. I see the problem is I see too many people in comics finding it funny, like legit funny, when they call a customer Hitler or a Nazi. They find it, they're not like saying it with frothing mouth and gritted teeth, like this is truly somebody I hate in my life. They say it like it's a joke, like they're punking somebody, like they're, like they're better than them, like they're elite and these people are plebes. That's how it comes across. And it makes it no less disgusting, but it makes it more stupid. Because if you truly think somebody is, an enemy of yours, all right. I mean, I guess that's a dumb way of thinking, particularly for a customer. But at least you can understand if somebody has some emotional, aggression behind it. I mean, this somebody's an enemy. But to just do it out of stupidity or spite or, wanting to appear smarter than somebody else, that's the dumbest of all. And I think there was a lot of that in this election. There was a lot of stupidity that, kind of like I said at the beginning, was an unforced error. It was just there for no good reason. Anyway, some early thoughts. Feel free to disagree because that's what normal human beings do. Thanks for listening.